Hey, 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 what's going on? It's that time of the week again. It's time for the Dad Next Door show. I'm your host, Jason Centeno, aka the Dad Next Door. And let me turn that off because that shouldn't be on right now. Technical difficulties, but that's okay because you just got a sneak preview on who's coming up next. It's going to be magical. That's all I'm going to say. But right now, we're going to start the show off right with my favorite part of the show, when my kid calls me a hero. Stay tuned. Be right back.
Fatherhood. It's how we keep our tribes and families strong. You've landed in the right place if you're ready for dad jokes, tips, and tricks on fun parenting. Also with interviews with some of the coolest dad entrepreneurs we could track down and have them share their strategies to tackling it all in business and life on the Dad Next Door. And now, your host, Mr. Dad Jokes himself, Jason Centeno.
Say hi, Nana.
You ain't shy.
They don't show you it in action because things like this.
Oh, fix it. Fix it.
I love Daddy. He's a superhero. I don't know what are you superheroes. I know.
I see you smiling. You like that part though, didn't you?
That's good.
I always put a cute kid in your videos if you can. Just like it's just good marketing, I think. So my man Ken, it's been a while. Actually, we've seen each other a lot this last year, even with COVID. I think twice in person, right?
Yes, sir. That is true.
You've been traveling around. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Jason. I actually have been pretty involved in real estate for quite a few years. That's how me and Ken known each other for, I want to say, at least 6 or 7 years now. But these days, I'm more, I'm helping people turn their big tech ideas into a reality. Sometimes in as soon as 90 days, if they already have some work all together. So, it typically takes a bit longer, but that depends on their availability and resources. So that's what I do. That's dadlabs.tech. We also have a young entrepreneurs program for kids who are looking to get into the tech sector, but I'm still into real estate. Why? Because that's what brought me here, to be able to do all this fun dad stuff. And so, on that journey, I met a whole lot of cool dads, and I figured, why not? In fact, that's what that last Tampa, the first one, not the one we just seen each other at, but the one before that where we saw each other was where this show actually was born, because I was sitting at a table with, you remember Chase, guy
Frost.
looks like
Chase Frost. Chase Frost.
It was me, him, and a couple other people, and we just started talking. And then the next thing you know, I was like, yeah, we should do a show. And he's actually supposed to have been on here twice. One, he had a problem, and then the second time I had no internet. So third time might be the charm. But you are a much sexier version of him. So I'm gonna let
I love Chase. Yeah, he's a good man.
I'm gonna let these people I guess get to know you. So let's talk about how did you start out what's your story? How'd you start off as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, wow, that's diving right in. So it was a long journey for me. I created the 6-year college plan. I gave my parents, a lot of hard times. And, after, getting into a situation where I really just, I couldn't really afford the twins that I had in 1992. And I was like, I have to create something. I had a job. I was working in construction, and, it was paying decent, but, I just didn't see where the future was. And I really started to think, wow, can I go out on my own? And it started just thinking, maybe I can do it, because I always came from, blue collar thinking where, you woke up, my parents woke up each day. My dad worked for public service, electric and gas. He worked there 42 years, great career. And my mom was a bank teller, and that's what I saw every day. So I didn't even really know what entrepreneurship was at the time,
What was your first sort of was it like did you go into the job sector first and then decide that you wanted to become, a real estate investor, or to kind of start side hustles when you're young? Because it's either in your blood. Like my father wasn't one; he was just creative. But me, I can remember that. Like when I was young, I don't know if you remember, but remember those you used to be able to go and do like these get they call them get rich quick schemes, I guess. But like you could go self-publish. It would teach you how to self-publish, or you would like learn, you would just go order some books and be like, it would be like manuals on how to do this, that, or the other thing. And the only difference between now and then was it's all video and courses online and PDFs. But back then you used to get a fat mail, big mailer and stuff like that. And I remember like I would always buy these things and I would never really do much with them, but I would pile them somewhere for future thought. But it got my mind racing, and I was like, how can I make money? Because I grew up poor. Well, I wouldn't say poor, but just in not rich. There you go. And I was always looking like how do people make money, because where I grew up, I saw how they made money and it was dangerous and not cool, especially because my dad was a pastor. So I was like, I ain't doing that. Yeah, but I always had a little bit of that in me. And then over the years, I guess started figuring stuff out. I mean, I would flip toys here and there, or I don't know, a bunch of different stuff until I actually finally learned real estate after a whole bunch of like bills that came in from doing an independent movie. But yeah, that was me. So like, what was your kind of like, you said you had to raise twins, which is that in and of itself, I imagine, is a handful. What during that time kind of like, what became the first thing that you kind of?
Yeah, so you covered a lot there, and I had kind of deja vu because back in the day I was buying the Carlton Sheets package, and thinking back, like, I did have that in my system, but what was in front of my face, because I always had like a paper route, so I'd wake up early in the morning, hustle the papers. I became a magician as a young kid. At 12 years old, I was doing birthday parties. But I saw the work, my father going to work, and my uncle who worked on Wall Street made a lot of money. I was like, well, maybe I'll get one of those jobs on Wall Street. And I guess, I didn't really delineate, going to work and you could earn money on entrepreneurship. And as I started to think, as you were talking, one of the jobs I had was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting picked up by a friend of the family who had a food truck, and that was entrepreneurship. And I swear, I used to sleep on the way to the industrial park and then wake up and, sell things out of the hot food truck and put the steak sandwiches together. And that's when I really thought, like, wow, this guy's working on his own. Maybe I could do something on my own one day. So I always had it in my system, but, I kept getting forced into that plan, go to school, get a job, until one day I woke up and said, wow, I have all this education and it really didn't show me how to make money. And that's when I was like, wow, now I know what entrepreneurship is, but, that was kind of my thought process, and.
So what was your education, your formal education in?
I started out wanting to be an engineer, but I couldn't get into engineering school. I liked playing football, so I went to a Division III, college. I played some college football, and I took calculus 2-3 times before I met my wife, who I'm still with today. She taught me how to study, and I eventually, after 6 years, received a civil engineering degree. And, by that time, I then had to pass a test, which I failed 5 times. I was not the sharpest tool in the shed. And by the time I finally passed, I was making more money in construction. So I really never decided to go into engineering. It was a very short time. I learned how to do some site design, which gave me that seed planted for real estate development and real estate investing. And, it was just kind of little seeds along the way and some subconscious things that were planted as a young man. But what was always in front of me was, hey, wake up, go to work hard. That's what we were taught, in our families, they gave you a lot of love. And, I think we probably grew up similar from sharing some of the stories, you were a hard worker, went out and fought fires, I mean, that's what it was all about,
Yeah. And then, that, and then the other side, like I said, when I wasn't doing that, and, anybody who knows about firefighters knows, like we have crazy schedules, but like you have these big gaps of time. And I just was never one to go work the ambulance. I thought working overtime, if I could avoid it, I would. And I would just go study and just kind of like making my own way versus like, okay, yeah, overtime's great, but I'm not getting anywhere close to where I want to be. And, this isn't as fulfilling as like making your own way, making something unique to yourself. So how did you get your first gig? Because you were in New York, right? That's kind of like where you made your bones. that, was it construction in New York or New Jersey? Because I know New York is crazy hard.
Yeah, I kind of learned real estate, like I guess an end around where, learning civil engineering, one of the specialties that I started in was soils, and then soils led to me kind of being outside and realizing, wow, I was part of like a development. And then my senior year, I won this design development award, and then I worked as an engineer for a short time. So I got a little taste of real estate, but I didn't really put the pieces together, and then I went into construction and I worked myself up as a superintendent, field superintendent, to assistant PM, to PM, the project executive, and was doing it for the other real estate developers, and really just never thought about residual income until I started, buying programs like Carlton Sheets and Robert Allen, No Money Down, but it was more about residential, and I just didn't really connect the dots, like, skyscrapers in New York City to like buying real estate in New Jersey. Like, I just was overwhelmed with trying to do my job every day, let alone to think about real estate until, it came down to like, how am I going to pay the bills? My paycheck's not covering it anymore. Then you start to not sleep at night. So you're thinking more,
So did anybody mentor you along the way? Because as a civil engineer, I imagine like you're rubbing shoulders with a lot of these guys, they got to come to you for certain things. How did you make that? I mean, you have the books, right? It's like, but there's this leap. It's like, well, who do I know?
Yeah.
Did anybody like stand out and say, hey,
yeah,
come on, I'll show you some stuff and kind of take you under their wing, get you started?
Yeah. I mean, Dolph DeRoos was one, he became a friend,
You met him early, like in New York?
Like probably 20 years ago on stage, he was talking. I bought all his programs. It was probably 25 years. It was so long ago. Yeah. I always was fascinated because he was the one guy talking about commercial, but then I had a lot of people in New York City. Like I worked very closely with Bruce Ratner, who owned the New Jersey Nets, who had a guy, his name was John Norris, rest his soul. He built Canary Wharf in London, one of the largest projects in the world. He built Battery Park in New York, and then he was hired by Forest City Ratner to build Metrotech, which was $1 billion project that I was on. And I was just so fortunate. I'd go meet this guy like 5 o'clock in the morning and, suck everything out of his brain. And, just at the table, like you said, with monsters and just watching and observing. It was, I did the E911 headquarters. Giuliani would come to the meetings. And it was, a lot of observations, not a lot of talking at that time. And as I grew into the ranks, worked myself up and, got to, mess around with a couple big time players. So, it paid off. But in reality, it all comes down to, why we're here today, being a super dad, and, all of those, great career moves that, and it was great. I loved every day of it. But there was times where I was like away from my children. I had the twins. My wife was, she was working at times. We had a nanny. And, we didn't, know, sometimes we didn't see light, it was just work. Me, I would go to school at night, wake up at 5 o'clock, work, go to school at night, come home at midnight. I did that for 20 years, 5 till midnight.
So, so I know you've built a lot of buildings. I guess, which one would you say looking at the New York skyline and what you've, been a part of in there, what would you say would be your favorite, or like the one you're, I guess, the dearest place in your heart? I don't want to say that you're the most proud of it, but like the one that means the most to you out of all, all those buildings. If you're looking at the skyline and you're like, that one gives me good memories, good vibes. Like that one was the one. Which one would that be?
Yeah, there's two. One is One New York Plaza. When you're looking. When you used to look at the World Trade Center, it's a 50-story building that I was able to do 30 stories of a conversion of high-tech data centers for Prudential. And it really opened up my eyes to like major construction on, interior renovations in New York City. And another one was one that I was fortunate to develop my first one as a partner, which was 240 Park Avenue, where when I finished, Tom Brady and Giselle came and looked at the penthouse, and that was a real proud day. It was 53 luxury condominiums on Park Avenue in New York City.
Nice. So you mentioned what your mom and pop did. So does entrepreneurship run in your family? either could have been maybe grandparents, because I would say my grandfather was probably one, and my uncle, and then or like any of your three children. Is that kind of anybody want to follow your footsteps? Like, is there any family tree of entrepreneurs going on, or are you just like the oddball?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you say that because my father's side that grew up in the United States was the hardworking blue collar, and my mom's side, who came from Italy. Now that I'm thinking about it, they were entrepreneurs. I mean, my grandfather had his own carpentry business, and my grandmother was the one that bought a couple of brownstones in Brooklyn. And I don't know how she made her money. I know she would sew the ends of every little rag and probably save it every little dollar. But that was entrepreneurship that I was seeing every Sunday, and maybe a little bit in dismay of my uncle who worked on Wall Street, and my dad, and just a lot going on at that table, plus some really good Italian food. We weren't there necessarily thinking about careers at the time, but it was just interesting dynamic growing up.
How about the kids? Any of them kind of doing real estate or something fun like that?
Yeah, my daughter, she lost her job in corporate America, because of COVID, and dove right in and started a photography business that she did for a year. And she just, connected with a new job, but she jumped in and showed some entrepreneurial spirit. My son's in military. My other daughter's married to a doctor and is, in culinary and dietetics. But I think one day that they'll be doing stuff, just because they've been seeing it for so long, and they wanted to go out there and get their own achievements, and I'm sure they'll go in that direction. And my son may not, but he really just wants to serve our country. Next is probably the FBI or something like that. So he's now doing reconnaissance, and I love him to death. He gets what he wants. All
right, so before I go to to some other, more serious questions, I like to break it up with 5 kind of random questions, because it gets you thinking again, kind of like what we were just talking about. You start to remember things, but they're meant to be fun. So hopefully you can take a joke. We're dads here, and this is what we'll do too. So, all right. So I'm gonna ask you these 5 questions. There's no wrong answers. Just tell me what you got. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what city in America should not be included on a map, and why?
Oh, I'd have to say Camden, New Jersey, just because it's like one of the highest crime rates in the world, and overall that's not good.
It's coming up though. Let's say that for a while. I mean, it kind of is though, but it's been slow. What compliment do people give you the most?
That I'm an overgiver.
Overgiver. So what is that? A go-giver?
Always just giving money that I have, time. Just over sometimes giving, over undervaluing myself, over giving time. But I try to give what I can to bring people to their greatness, because that's my objective.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right. So what word would you add to the dictionary if you could, and what would it mean?
Oh, that's a good question. Are you going to stump me here? Like, let me think a second.
Yeah, that's a thinker.
Yeah, that's a thinker. Wow, it's
amazing
how
I'm gonna get you stuck now. I mean, you could pass, but
no. Let me just give me one more second. So, I guess what I'm thinking is I would create a word called sigam. It's magic spelled backwards, and it would mean magical blessings in your life.
Sigam, huh? Could be an acronym too if you want to make it one.
I was stuck. Sorry.
Listen, you came through though, so not a problem. Some people just don't, sometimes there's just no big deal though. What product would you refuse to promote?
Existing product, I would say, like McDonald's hamburgers. I just, I turned into a little bit of a health fanatic, and I wouldn't promote fast foods.
Okay. Think about this one. Don't give us. All right. What's your favorite pet's name? I say think about it just because I don't want you to give away like one of your what do they call them, the bank security questions. So don't give us that one. If you had a
No.
favorite pet, what was his name?
Could it be a pet that I had that was a favorite name, or
Yeah, anything. I
No.
just want
No,
you to give
my favorite name for a pet was Midas. Right?
Mike.
And Midas. It was a boxer that I had, and he just came from, like, believe it or not, the Midas. He had a golden touch about him. That was it. Even though he was a boxer.
You had a lucky dog, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so we're gonna get back. We're gonna get into some dad stuff now. I know they're older now, so some of this might be recalling, but we're gonna do that. So as you I mean, this, you can answer this from the point of now. What's your best dad life look like? You, your kids, your family, like, what would be an ideal day with you and them?
Yeah. An ideal day is pretty much what's been going on, lately, in the last year or two, where, my kids, I have 28-year-old twins. I have a 20 boy and girl twins, a 23-year-old daughter. And the day that I really enjoy is where they come to the house. They all visit. We have dinner the night before. We play games at night, and then they wake up and we do a breakfast. But we're all kind of working out, sharing, taking showers together, just hanging out and having the day, just hanging out together and just relaxing. But that's what I just love, being with the kids. It's a little bit of an Italian tradition, when I was growing up, just hanging out with the family, and that's what I just love doing. Sometimes we go hiking or to the beach and just do things to have fun.
You have grandkids yet or no?
No, not yet. Not yet. Just my one daughter got married during COVID, and we're actually having the big ceremony in September, and real excited.
I'll lend you one of mine. You can pretend. I got 6. You can, hold one. So as a father, what would you say your dad's superpower was? Like, what, the thing that, like, you just felt like nobody could beat you at being a dad with your kids?
Yeah, I used to have magic moments with each of my kids that, we would do all the time. And I based it on, what magic moment can I create with them that they'll always remember. So, my daughter, we used to have date nights all the time, and we would go to different restaurants and we would meet the chef, and she ended up getting into culinary and becoming a dietitian and nutritionist and studied culinary medicine. And that was, I believe, all because of our magical date nights. My son's magical moments was me, becoming a scoutmaster. I never wanted to put the uniform on, but, he became a Tiger Scout at 6, and by 17 and a half, he was an Eagle Scout. And that was because of, 180 nights camping, 125 miles of hiking. And it was as much contribution I could give to Scouts until right at Eagle time. He was like, he didn't want to go to meetings. I'm like, you're not going, I'm not going either. So, but yeah, he stepped over the line, became an Eagle. And then my youngest, it was horseback riding, where, many mornings she would sleep and I would drive, pick up the bagel with cream cheese and hot chocolate and head to the barn, wake her up, she'd jump and get ready and jump on her horse and ride. And, that was the magical moment. And, she went on to study equine in college, and all these things that we did as we were growing up had such an impact in their life. And I recommend that, for any dad, like, wake up on the weekends, cook the family, breakfast, and create those magic moments with each one of your kids that they'll just never forget that time with dad.
I try. In fact, it's funny that you brought up camping, because I kind of just did that with 2 of my boys this weekend in the backyard. But unfortunately, probably could have used some of your skills, because we ended up getting bit up by ants. So that was an uncomfortable experience, but it was fun. They enjoyed it until the next day when they were like, what do I got on me? And yeah, that was my my non-Cub Scouts. But I tried, right? So we have fun. All right. So what would you say as a father your kryptonite was with your kids? What did you struggle with the most with them?
Yeah. I didn't have enough patience. I probably lost my cool more than I should have. They were a little afraid of me at times. I didn't mess around too much. So, it took me a long time to, even till this day, or, not as much, but, the times that they would come back and they were a little older and they had more to say, I had to calm down. Back in the day, I was able to yell, but I couldn't have that. I couldn't have that behavior, at that stage of life.
I wonder, has there ever really been a truly patient person from the Northeast? Like we just like live so everything's so fast. It's like fast, and I'm just like, I think it's regional. Maybe I don't know. I've slowed down in Florida, but I can tell you what, like, yeah, I think it's a Northeast thing. I think it's an urban hurry up everything, and patience is a tough one, even for me. So how did you handle that? Like, what did you do to like get more patience, or you just kind of like caught yourself more?
It came down to like actually focusing on it, studying it. My wife is the one that has all the patience, and I asked her for some help, and asked her to create more of a uniform front and for me to be, more part of the conversation because, I guess it took a little bit more time, just to raise the kids that I thought, it would take. It's not as easy, and they don't give you a book, and as they get older, it's about communication, and you have to listen to them and let them be heard. It's not about telling them what to do anymore. And I was just never good at that, being in New York City construction, always telling people what to do. You bring it home with you sometimes and it doesn't work with the family. You start telling them what to do all the time. You got to give them a break,
And now your son could probably take you out with his military. So
Oh,
you can't do that anymore.
He's treading water for 50 minutes with his arms above water, training for reconnaissance. I don't know how he's going to do it. It's
That's
not
not
about being in
SEAL
shape
training?
anymore. What's that?
That's not specifically SEAL training. That's like just everybody got to do that.
No, it's like Navy SEAL training, but for the Marines. It's reconnaissance. They call them the Raiders, and yeah, it's crazy stuff. So hopefully he'll not hopefully he will succeed and become an officer, and he's doing well.
All right, Ken. So here's the big question, and it might not be bad, but let's see what happens. What's one weird thing most people don't know about you?
Weird thing. I definitely have like a lot of OCD and ADD. My attention span is very short. I like my places for everything. And, I worry a lot, I'm just, I don't know, like my mom was a worrier, so it seems like I have that trait. And, I'm pretty normal, I have like all the same, crazy thinking, in my head that most people have. And, people think I'm, not normal. So I guess I'm just telling people that those are my little quirks, ADD, OCD, all that kind of good stuff.
You are the magic man too. That's another thing. I mean, that's not weird, but that's an interesting little thing. So you started that young, and then you just, I mean, was that like how big of a passion did that become? Did you actually ever try to like perform on stages, or just how comedians will go do like an open mic night? Did you ever like try to do stage stuff, or that just was like for kids and all?
Yeah, I was doing magic since I was like 12. I dressed in a tuxedo. I had doves. I did it to music. I had assistants. At 17, I used to perform at the coffee houses, like all the rock bands are playing. I'd walk in tails. Me and my girlfriend, we'd be doing a levitation. I'd be sticking swords through her head, and crazy stuff like that. And then when I went to college, I studied close-up magic, and, I used to perform at restaurants and, walk up to your table and do some stuff. So then I did trade show magic. So yeah, magic's been in my life. And it started when I was 12. I used to go to Christmas parties. Magicians would perform. I was always fascinated by it and just started buying tricks. And next thing you know, I was, it became a hobby, and you become a student of the art. It's like painting, you just paint, and it's like read another magic book, learn a trick, learn an effect, make somebody happy, and enjoy that moment.
Well, when you were talking about magic moments with your kids, I was just thinking, like, how much did you like practice on them, or did they get to the point where like did you ever prank them with magic, or like you try out tricks on them just to see how they turned out? How did they feel about that?
Yeah, never pranked them. Yeah, I used to practice in front of them all the time. For most of their birthday parties, they'd want me to do magic. My daughters loved, at the end of every magic show, I would cook a birthday cake, and then we would put the candles in and sing. So, every year they would want to do that. And I would pick one of their friends. We'd crack eggs, put flour in, light it on fire, put the top on. Next thing you know, you got a cake, and we used to just have fun. Yeah.
That's real cool. Like that, using it that way, because people just say magic, and it's like, well, how are you really using it? Now, I was lucky enough to actually see you do it live one time, and I think we're gonna have to test you on that one in a little bit too. But I feel like more people should know about your magic, because
sure.
Why not, right?
No, I'm telling you, what really comes down to them. My friend Sean Callaghy brought it to my attention. It's really about more money, time, and magic in your life. And when I heard him talking about how he creates more money, time, and magic in people's life, I'm like, I have tons of magic in my life, and it's great to see that other people want magic in their life, because some people get offended by magic because they feel like they're getting fooled, but it just brings like such exuberance to me, and I'd love to share some with you whenever you're ready.
We will be testing that out and your dad joking skills very shortly.
Oh, there you go.
So let's talk about I guess developing yourself, because so there's a lot of dads out here. There's different ones. There's some that are coming up. There's some that are advanced. Some that are still dealing with a lot of kids like myself, or just young, and they just have their first two, but they're still trying to find themselves, and older ones that have kind of like kind of guiding younger ones. And I find that masterminds or small groups are usually a good place to find people that kind of, in a way, I wanted this to be kind of that, even though it's between two people. So if somebody ever wanted to go back and look through the past guests, they'd be able to get a lot of good advice. So first of all, are you in any masterminds? Tell us about that kind of thing. Like, how do you learn? How do you advance and grow right now for yourself?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I've been going to, whether you call them masterminds or trainings, but when I first got married, I remember signing up. I think I was 26 years old, and I signed up for a Dale Carnegie class. It was at the hotel, like literally 2 blocks from our house. And I was just so overwhelmed because, I was afraid, to speak up. And, that started my training, and then it led into Tony Robbins training and Jack Canfield and Landmark. And it's always been something every single year, to the point where it then led now to even masterminds. It was one year I had 9 coaches when I wanted to learn about, all different things about media and storytelling and book writing and things like that. And, always holding somebody, always having somebody hold me, accountable. And, part of that continuous, I call it self-mastery, is something that you have to do, because it's just always a journey. There's always something we can learn every day.
And now you mentioned being in a mastermind for book writing, and now you have a book, and you've mentioned some of these other things, and now you have those things. You're speaking now, and you're, like I said, I got to see you speak recently and do a little magic too. So like, it's, people will, it always amazes me that people are like, oh, how do you do what you do? How do you get there? I was like, you just basically told them how you get there. You go, you learn it from somebody who did it before you, pay whatever, and then you have that, and then you move on to the next step. It's almost, well, it's really as simple as that. So let's talk about what you have to offer. So you're a real estate investor. I knew you, and you pivoted. You told me you pivoted, but primarily commercial real estate. Like you were like, that's when I met you. You were like, you were doing that pretty heavy, and then, you know, things kind of changed in the world, and now you've kind of pivoted. But you know, you've written a book, you're speaking on stages. Like, what are you doing now, I guess, to help people learn the art of real estate investing?
Yeah. When we first met, I was all commercial. And then in 2016, I co-founded Flippin' USA. We did 137 residential deals in 1 year. And that's when I realized what I had been doing in commercial and land development. And then residential was this modern wealth building formula. So we wrote the book. And the book is really a blanket. It works, you know, for any type of real estate, whether you're wholesaling, fixing and flipping, anything you want to grow, accelerate. You need money. It shows you how to syndicate, raise money. It works for land development, multifamily. And then what I really decided is that most people would want to use the modern wealth building formula towards residential. So we just created the Financial Freedom Protocol, which is being launched in about a week. And that's how to start in residential real estate and accelerate your residential real estate investing business. And putting those two together, you know, which really is the foundation that I learned from the top down thinking, and just showing how to apply it to the everyday person that wants to get started in real estate or is in real estate and wants to accelerate.
Man, I think you could do a show, you know, like one of these flip your house shows, and instead of being like, you know, the husband and the wife and the, you know, all that, you could be the magic dude. You could just be like, make these code enforcers disappear. And
yes.
Hey, I think it's in your future, man. So, I guess we're kind of winding down. What would you say? What was the best piece of life advice you would give for maybe a dad? Kind of, okay, let's pretend you're just starting out in real estate. Like, let's say somebody gets your course, but they got, you know, maybe they're holding down a full-time job and they have a couple of young kids. Kind of think of it like you when you were starting out with the twins, and somebody has your wealth. What did you call it? The wealth principle?
Modern wealth building formula.
Modern wealth building formula. What would the best piece of advice you could give that dad entrepreneur there that's trying to start out with these two kids and are just getting started out with your wealth principle, modern wealth principles? What would you tell them? Like how, like if you could just give them a couple sentences, like, hey, just think about this.
Yeah.
And, you know, what would you tell them?
Yeah, the first thing is, I would say is don't panic, and to be patient and to, sit back and just look at the big picture, because, when family hits and work, we have a tendency to get stuck in the weeds and we really don't see the bigger picture. So, I would recommend that, once a week, I call it deep thinking, just go take an hour with yourself and get clear and write out your plan, because Rome wasn't built in a day, and if you want to work and get started in real estate, sometimes you got to keep working and do your real estate stuff at night and make that transition and pivot, so it's just really be patient, work on that deep thinking. Those are the times where you really figure it out, and reach out to mentorships, because there's no reason ever to reinvent the wheel. Just find someone that has done what you've done and then figure out how to get in touch with them, because it's never going to be a question of the sources. It's going to be a question of your resourcefulness to go tap into those sources.
Gotcha. So how do you, Mr. Van Liew, want to leave your mark on the world? Is it a big old building in the sky, or is this something bigger out there that you're working on? Because maybe it's a magic building. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like just being straight out. So I've been tough my whole life, on people that not on people, are just tough skinned, swimming with sharks in New York City, that, I really want people to not look at me as like this tough guy, and to see me as I can bring you to your greatness. And that's my purpose. And my mission is to bring people to their greatness so that they can pay it forward to someone in their life that'll really make a difference.
Cool. Yeah, man. When I first met you, you were definitely that suit and tie. I don't want to say shark, but like you reminded me of Kingpin from the Daredevil comic book, or like the series. Like not him exactly, but like you just had that look, and you were into commercial. And I was like, that's that dude. But no, I got to hang out with you, and you were nothing like that. It was just like that was the presentation. So you hear New York, you see the guy with the sharp dress suit, commercial real estate guy. You're assuming he's that. And to be honest with you, like not you, but everybody I've ever met like that from New York was definitely a piece of work. Let's just say.
Yeah, I think I came. I had the black suit. They go, "You look like John Gotti's attorney, Bruce Cutler." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Just kidding.
Stuff like that. You were definitely not. That wasn't your demeanor. I was thinking it was going to be that, but it wasn't. So I am definitely glad I got to meet and sit with you, and we got to chop it up quite a few times. So yeah, I mean, right now, I think, is there anything you want to share with anybody? Like, I mean, I guess you said you're launching the residential real estate next week. Anything else you kind of want to make people aware of, like, in case they want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, just go to my website, kenvanliew.com. There's a free strategy session in about a week. We're going to have my free book going out. We have my financial freedom protocol launching. I finally put together something that people can kind of take a look at what we have to offer, because I'm busy building real estate, and we're doing a huge development in New Jersey at Larson's Turkey Farm, a famous site that's been over 100 years in tradition in Chester, New Jersey. And yeah, just come on our site, and there's a lot of free stuff, gifts, and you can reach out to me anytime.
So here's something, if somebody, random might help, is what are you buying out there for maybe somebody watching this in the future? Like, hey, if you come across that, you should contact me first, especially in Jersey. I mean, is it farmland? Is it like, what would you be looking for? Because maybe they can bring that to the table instead of just like, hey, I just want to read your book or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, any dilapidated buildings, or, someone that you hear that's trying to get rid of something that has, a reason why they need to get rid of something, where, we can kind of make it a win-win situation. Or if there's any land that's available and you envision, something magnificent being developed, reach out to us. My company's Global Real Estate Strategies, but just go to kenvanliew.com. But you could find out a little bit more about what we do on the real estate advisory side, and we're always here to help you take the next step.
Cool. So you ready for, or how do you want to do this? All right, guys. So, this is the first time ever that we're having a magic trick and a dad joke. So, get ready.
I'll give you the dad joke first.
All right. Let's get it.
So why do some couples go to the gym?
I don't know.
Because they want their relationship to work out. There you go. So I'm going to show you this trick. So I don't know. Have you ever seen? You could see it right here. Oh, there it is. Have you ever seen a copper penny? I got to make sure I put that in the camera. Well, a copper penny it's part of an English, currency. But I don't want to show you a trick with the copper penny. I actually want to show you the trick with the silver dollar. I don't know if you could actually see. That's a Kennedy silver dollar. And I like the Kennedy silver dollars. It was the last year before they started putting copper in them. But the beauty of the ones with all silver is you could actually make them disappear if you just give it a little rub and then a blow. You could see that it just actually vanishes totally. But if you take a piece of dust out of the air, you could see that you could actually change it right back into the coin again. And that's a little silver dust for you.
How many pennies, if I sent you those, would you turn into some silver dollars? Because we could work that out.
We'll work out a deal. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just let me know where I could spend those pennies.
I will.
Make a couple dollars out of 15 cents or
yes, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate the magic, the time together. I'm definitely, when you're in Tampa again, hit me up, because we're gonna hang out again. I think that last place we ate was pretty good. What you call it, at the Hyatt? I don't know, that restaurant in the back where everybody was. Remember they had that big tray? It was like trays of stuff.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, it was unbelievable. Oh yeah.
Anyway, we'll try a new place this time. But I appreciate you, brother. So just hang out, and I'll talk to you in a minute. Just hang out in the green room for a minute. And
sounds good, Jason.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
All right. So let's do this. All right. It's always tricky to change that with the right amount of time. Okay, guys. So I hope you were entertained today. I don't know. That's the first time we've ever done magic. Trying to spice it up here. Maybe one day I'll get some dancers. I don't know. But anything can happen on this show. But as we wrap this up, hopefully some of that was useful to you. And I always like to tell you guys about some stuff going on that you guys can plug into. So I'm going to talk about this real quick. Young Entrepreneurs Movement. If you're interested, you have any high school or college kids, or even after that, any young person who is looking for an opportunity to work in tech, have something there for you. If you want to text those letters YEM to 305-602-3632, you might just find the opportunity of the lifetime. I don't know. It really depends on what you do with the information you see in there. If you take the training, and if you do, I'm pretty sure that I will be in contact with you and probably be helping mentor you through some of that process. But hey, you got to first believe. So take the first step. If you know somebody like that, just connect that way right there. So hopefully you got that. Also, I've talked about these before, but we have a mastermind. Actually now there's two of them, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But we're looking for more business owners. This could be more than just real estate related. This is could be internet marketing. Anybody who has business, any business owners out there looking to level up their intelligence, their opportunities, and wanting to connect with some other people like themselves, other entrepreneurs. We would like to see if you would be right for our group. So we're offering a free session to sit in where we can ask you your problems and try to come up with some solutions. And if you like, you could join us for even more fun every week. So we're giving that away, that hot seat. If you want to get involved in that, text the word mastermind to 305-602-3632 for a chance to win a hot seat at our next Tuesday Make Money and Have Fun Mastermind meeting that I have joined forces with some other cool cats to make it even better. Let me see. Is there anything else I want to talk to you about? I think that's it for this week. So I hope you enjoyed this week. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but that's cool too, because sometimes we go long, sometimes we go short, but that's okay as long as it keeps flowing. That's it for this week. So take care, comb your hair, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys.